Hello and welcome to the channel for part 6 in the series of bringing back to life Barney, the barn find 1981 Honda CT110 Trail. In this episode I lap the rotor onto the crankshaft taper, fit a new timing chain, fit the advance and retard unit and the points plate. If that's something you're interested in seeing, as usual, stick around and I'll get straight into it. I wasn't sure about the condition of this taper on there. I wanted to ensure that it was good, so what I'm going to do is put some grinding paste on there, lap the rotor onto it, because really it's the taper lock that holds the rotor in place, not the woodruff key. So some fine grinding paste. I've removed the woodruff key. Not rocket science. Give it a lap, clean it up. Well, that should be nice and lapped in there. I've replaced the woodruff key. One thing you may notice, we saw the wear that was inside the cylinder and the cylinder head from the rattling timing chain, but we know that it was worn out. Look at how far out the plunger is there. So we know that it was at maximum extension, so we would get no more adjustment. And I'll hold that down just out of the way to enable us to get the new timing chain on easily. Well, this bike, as most of your bikes, had JIS screws holding the cam chain tensioner in, but the later Australia Post bikes had an 8mm hex head, so I'm going to use those. It's a bit of an upgrade, I think. If you've had trouble getting the screws out before, you'll know that this is a worthwhile thing to put on there. So here's the new timing chain. Get yourself a good one, there's no point buying a cheap one. And I've swapped out the cam sprocket for one I had that was a bit better. And we know that there's a circle for the timing mark. I've put a blue dot on there just to make that easier to see. Now this is easier without the cylinder head in place, but it is what it is. So hopefully I can grab that with my other finger and pull it through. Just put a screwdriver through there just to hold it loosely in place. So I'll just put the camshaft in there loosely. Just to hold it slightly. Now what we need to do is the fiddly part. Feed in the guide roller and then put in the guide roller bolt together with its sealing washer. I did this before and made it look easy, didn't I? How did I do that? There we go. So the chain, the rollers between the chain, now I've got to get the roller to there. That looks close. Is it? No. That's got it, I think. Yeah, spinning freely. oil pump drive. Just click it till it goes into place. The teeth should line up, so you can see that's not quite lined up, so it's not gone in. There we go. Now it's just a matter for the camshaft. As you've seen from before, we've got the engine on TDC, we had the marks lined up, so I'll start with the dowel 12 o'clock, slowly feed him in, and then as it starts to go, twist. Doesn't always go that easy. If you're having trouble, do what I did, loosen off the cam chain adjuster. My arm in the way, probably. So you can see now how much adjustment there is. There's not a great deal, even with a brand new chain. And one thing to note, you can see the flat there on the plunger, and we need that in line with the screw there, so that when the screw locks down the plunger, it locks it down on the flat spot. So one thing we need to do with a new cam chain, we need to reset this back to the beginning. So with this screw, what we need to do is start it off just below the level of the casing. Otherwise, we can't get the cap on. So that is the starting position, just below the level. This is undone, just a little bit. Just below the level, and we should be able to reset the cap. And if you've not screwed it in far enough, this won't go down, but that's fine there. Well, as you saw then, that rotated slightly so that the flat was in line. So now all that's left to do, refit the bridge. I don't have a fancy word for this, it's the plate that holds the oil pump drive in place. And as I said before, I'm using the later CT1, I think it's CT110X they call it, the later CT110 bolts. And this should still be free to move. So now all that's left to do in here, torque up this nut and then torque these two. And so I don't really recommend torquing that because that's into cast iron. Just by feel is good enough for that. These two, probably. No, it's not going on. That's it. And hopefully the gaskets stay in position as well. These screws have a washer behind it. On this one, the third one, the washer came out with the bolt. That's the screws in there, tensioned up. Now just the advancing retard mechanism to fit with the key onto the dowel there. And then bolt on the end. Somewhere about there. I think that was about it, just about there. But I'll be checking the timing later on. So I'll just button this up, keep any dirt out of there. We'll need to set the timing, check the timing. Tuning to part 7, we get to kick Barney over, see if he runs and see if he has actually quit smoking or not.